Darth Vader issue number 5, Dark Lord of the Sith happened, and oh my god, this was actually a pretty great chapter. Though I do have some questions that I would like to know, but I don't think we'll ever get in this comic series of Vader comics. So after Darth Vader killed Master Infala and killed an entire village through flooding, and secured the Kyber Crystal to corrupt, despite its difficulty, he gets a message from Palpatine, where Palpatine reveals that he is sending Darth Vader to Mustafar, the place where all of it truly began, where everything just fell apart. The cataclysm of his life fell apart, and everything would set in stone for the next 20 years. Oh boy. So, we get to finally see what happens when a Sith tries to make a Kyber Crystal bleed. Yeah, I still don't get that process. Like, I liked it better when it was a synthetic crystal. Like, this arc is mostly focusing on Darth Vader and him acquiring his first Sith lightsaber. And I felt like that's really the story they were going with. Like, I always felt like that could have been solved easily. They could have just done synthetic crystals. And they kind of brung that back in the Catalyst novel, Rogue One. And how they tried to make synthetic crystals, but it never worked. Whereas in Legends, they did make synthetic crystals, and it did work. Some of the time. Okay, most of the time. Okay, most of the time, but sometimes it ended disastrously. So, I always wondered, why couldn't they bring it back here? Were they trying to make Sith more eviler than usual? Like, the name Sith should already give the vibe that, yeah, they're the bad guys. Even though there could be a lot of complexities, development of character, sympathy for them, like Darth Vader being the embodiment of suffering. But, okay, I don't know how to feel regarding what they're trying to do with Vader. I'll talk about that in a moment. So, Vader's final test is upon him. Corrupt the Kyber Crystal to complete his metamorphosis into the Sith Lord, Darth Vader. So, yeah. Darth Vader dismantles Master Infala's Kyber lightsaber and takes the crystal out. And after he extracts it and begins his process to corrupt it, he is blown back by the sheer power of the light side of it, which causes him to realize, okay, the minute I saw his eyes go to blue, I was like, oh, they're doing a vision. It's a vision, everybody. It's a vision. They're showing a vision. So, yeah, Darth Vader, or Anakin, repairs the lightsaber, goes back to Coruscant, kills Palpatine, and then goes to Obi-Wan, takes off his helmet, and he says, please, and he's either asking for forgiveness or he's asking for death. Though with the light side of the Force, it's probably forgiveness. So, yeah, the Kyber Crystal has been known to be, quote, alive, like it calls to somebody when they are chosen by the Jedi, and they send the children to most likely get killed in a freezing environment. Okay, like they torture their Padawans in Legends. I'm pretty certain this is not surprising. So, yeah. So, here's the thing. When did the Kyber Crystal do something that is actually would be considered the dark side? Tempt them? Try to give them a vision of something else? Because normally you would expect that from a Sith-related thing, or a holocron. But why is the light side doing this? Showing visions of temptation, of getting this, and like I guess trying to protect itself. But it just feels all hypocritical to me. Like, wait, the light side is tempting somebody to join them? I mean, like, granted, the light side is, quote, the good guys. Though, in Legends, that's a much more debatable topic. But, yeah. I was wondering, so why does the Kyber Crystal do this? Like, wait, now that I think about it, why have we never seen that before? Like, that's interesting, but yeah, normally there would be another explanation to how people get visions. Like Anakin Skywalker's visions of Padme dying, Anakin's visions of his mother dying. Yeah, the first one was completely ignored because Obi-Wan is an idiot. And I get what they're trying to do here. I get what Disney might be trying to do here. I'll get to that in a moment. So, after Obi-Wan calls out his name Anakin, the vision just stops, and we see Vader's eyes go back to yellow or gold. And then he says no, and not the screaming no. And he goes ahead and says that and decides that there's nothing left here. There's nowhere else to go. This is the here and now. We can't change it. Well, you kind of can, but but I'm afraid it's called Force Walk, and that's not going to be discovered for another about 50 years after you're dead. Well, actually, about 20 or so years after you're dead. And that's in Legends, so yeah, you can't go back in time. And even then, you just see what happens. You don't really get to change anything. Also, a Disney altered fanfiction, and we'll gladly go into detail about how this worked. So, yeah, anyways. So, okay. There's a lot of questions I was wondering when this vision happened. Did the Kyber Crystal produce this vision? Did Anakin, the part of him that still lingers, do it? Is it a combination of both? Yeah, I don't know about that. And since this is focusing primarily on Darth Vader and not a story about Kyber Crystals in general, we'll probably get a source book after 3 years. It took 2 years for us to get an answer. We're going to have Phasma decide to, said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to blow up the First Order's in Starkiller base. That took 30 years to complete. In a book. Yeah, if you check out Phasma's novel, you'll see they'll explain what happened, but we'll talk about that at a future date. So yeah, as this alternative future happened and Anakin is now officially dead for the next 20 years, Vader says there's nothing left. There's no way going back on this. I mean, you killed younglings, a bunch of Jedi, killed a whole bunch of other people. Yeah, there's nowhere going back. So, Vader starts to go ahead and bleed the crystal. And all of a sudden, it got confusing of how bleeding works for me. Wait. When does bleeding cause the apocalypse on Mustafar? There's lightning spewing, there's clouds darkening, Mustafar's going more chaotic than usual. Yeah, also there's a Sith temple, there's a Sith cave, or something like that, underneath the planet. And I'll get to that also in a moment. So, yeah, Vader gets to experience past of his mother, of Obi-Wan defeating him, of Padme, of the Emperor, of Palpatine. And he ultimately bleeds the crystal red and takes it to his master, who's discussing with Grand Moff Tarkin and Mas, whatever his last name is. And of course, the Royal Guards, who were most likely the same Royal Guards that got force pushed by Yoda, are shoved into the glass wall by Vader. Wow, they just really either suck at their job of protecting the Emperor, or they are the baddest looking guards I have ever seen. They just have so much bad luck. If this was indeed the same guards from episode 3, that actually would have been very hilarious. So, yeah. And then Vader afterwards presents his lightsaber after Palpatine says, "Apprentice." And Vader says, "Master." And draws out the lightsaber. Okay, I'm getting an angle here. Why do I get the feeling Disney's trying to further deepen the whole Vader's an evil guy? We can't show sympathy for this guy. Okay, the reason why I think that is because, remember that touching moment in Legends in a comic where Vader comes across C-3PO during the events of Episode 5, and in a comic where in between when he's about to torture Han Solo to when he catches them to afterwards, he finds C-3PO. He holds it close to his head, or at least the helmet, and he recalls a vision of his visions of the old days with his mother. He orders the droid to be destroyed, but after some series of events, he comes to the conclusion he decides not to destroy the droid. He decides to give it back to the Wookiee. Okay, that was an awesome moment. That can never be replaced. What does Disney do with that? How do they top such emotional feeling, caring, showing of a tortured soul man who's lost everything in life and has only memories? And no, he just orders it to be destroyed. Nope, he's not hesitating. He's ordering its destruction. Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to make him a dick. Now, it looks like from this chapter, if this is your first time experiencing the Disney version of Darth Vader, they seem to be attempting to create a balance between the tortured soul and the machine of destruction. They can do both. Legends did that well for me. They did a combination of both. I was hoping Disney could do the same thing, but with now the possibility of it being a movie, I thought they could really do well with that. This comic ruined all hope for me seeing a Darth Vader movie, a psychological thriller one nonetheless. So we're just gonna have to sell for a comic version. So, yeah. And Mustafar having a Sith location underneath the planet, okay, that makes sense and pays homage to the original drafts that Lucas had come up with, that pays homage to it, including the eventual erection of the Sith of the Darth Vader castle that Lucas wanted to do back in like episode 5 as an original plan, but that scrapped it for some reason. But I kind of now I know people are gonna call me biased and say I just like Legends better. I've been trying to give the new canon a chance, but I'm just waiting for this moment to like justify the reboot. So, okay, I like when Mustafar was given a tragic backstory. Because here's the thing. Mustafar wasn't always like this. I don't even think it was called Mustafar. It was called another planet. It was a luscious, beautiful green world. It was home to Jedis, and then the Sith attacked, and during a battle, a weapon or a ship crashed into it. A powerful ship or a mega weapon of death crashed into it and completely corrupted the planet and destroyed everything and turned it into the lava world that we see in Revenge of the Sith. And in one of the Star Wars games, an MMO, I believe, Star Wars Galaxies, and during the expansion pack, they show some Jedi temples that still remain on the planet. I thought that was actually pretty good. That was a good idea to give us some backstory on the planet Mustafar. They could do both. That's what I'm saying. They could do both. They could have had this idea that it was a luscious green world, the Sith attacked, and probably terraformed it, or corrupted it with their dark side, and turned it into the volcanic wasteland that we now know and fear. And I was also curious to know, is Vader... Okay, when the bleeding process happened, it was cool, but I'm questioning... Wait, so does this happen all the time for kyber crystals when they're bleeded? That we get the apocalypse on the planet? Is that how that works? Or is this just an exception because they want to make it epic for Vader, because Vader's the embodiment of suffering, even though this Vader's trying to be portrayed differently than the Vader we knew back in Legends? Okay. So, yeah. Okay, I'm just wondering if any kyber crystal could be bled and do that during its process. I'm like, then why the fuck did the Sith not win? They could have just secretly housed a bunch of Sith, gathered them all in one place, go underneath the Jedi Temple, because you know there's a fucking Jedi Temple there's a Sith Temple underneath the fucking temple. Oh yeah, I'm still pissed about that. They completely are that dumb. And it's on the archives. They could not have forgotten that. They could have done that, and with the power of the Sith Temple, they could have blew up the Jedi Temple in the process, during a war, probably if they recanonized the Old Republic era with some minor alterations, they could have done that, and boom, story's over, the Sith win, and turn Coruscant to a once prosperous city world into a desolate, apocalyptic, ruined, archaic, apocalyptic city. But yeah, I was wondering, does this happen for just Vader, or does this happen all the time? Yeah, I've always been mixed about how the Kyber crystals got treated in the new canon. I kind of liked when a Jedi, like, it made me question, wait, but that doesn't explain. If the lightsaber calls to them, if a Kyber crystal calls to the Jedi, wouldn't it make more sense just to do what they did in Legends? Like, maybe it does speak to them at times, but at the same time, you can just get another one. Like, I get that's a little disrespectful, but come on. Like, I would love a black lightsaber. I would love a silver lightsaber. One, the black lightsaber is because it's badass. Which begs the question, how come we've never seen a... Okay, we've seen the dark saber, and we've seen black lightsabers in The Force Unleashed. Those aren't canon. But I'm always wondering, where did the black Kyber crystal come from? They could really make a story out of that. So, yeah. What did I think of this comic? I thought it was great. It really gives that there was a moment that Vader was tempted, but blocked it out. Like, that was kind of obvious. But the part where I kept saying they're trying to make Vader look like this is all his fault, I'm going to you can say it's his fault, but at the same time, there's a lot of reasonings for why that happened, and ultimately, the 20 years of misery that happened for the galaxy is kind of Obi-Wan's fault. Like, you know how, remember how, I said this before, remember how Obi-Wan screams at the top of his lungs, "You are my brother, Anakin, I love you!" And now I look at that and think, okay, push him into the lava. It's not that simple. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. Use the Force, push him into the lava, and end his suffering. There! 20 years of misery is now negated for at least a little bit. You could have built up a resistance against Palpatine. Says he has no powerful apprentice now, and he's currently weak, and they could go back and kill him, or wait and like gather up as many Jedi as they can now without Darth Vader running amok. No, we're not doing that. We're just gonna make Obi-Wan look like a complete and utter self-centered idiot. Oh yeah, in the Legends canon, they explained why Obi-Wan could have done that and didn't check to see if he was dead because Emperor Palpatine was coming soon. Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that because a Jedi's life is sacrificed as far as I remember. So when killing Vader, pushing him into the lava to end everything, to end the suffering, and sacrifice your life being killed by Palpatine in the process, even though that would happen. Yeah. Like, that is clearly what they could have done. But no, because this is technically a prequel movie with some ideas that they could have done this, that could have prevented 20 years of destruction. And now we're going to count the next 30 years of Snoke, depending on how long it took for Snoke to arrive. They haven't covered that yet. But yeah, what did I think of this comic? I thought it was great. It is currently the best issue for the Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith series, and possibly the best one in part 1 of the Darth Vader series, the Imperial Machine, or the Chosen One as they called it. But I'm curious to know what's happening next. Like, we see the chapter where Vader's helmet is sliced open, and it's called Darth Vader Meet the Inquisitors. So I'm thinking, is an Inquisitor doing this? Like, okay, in Rebels, it's shown that the Grand Inquisitor would rather die than have to explain his failing to Vader because he fears him. Like, granted, the part where he is the apprentice to Darth Sidious is a good explanation. But from what we're gathering, they're looking like they're hinting that Vader did something that scared the living shit out of all the Inquisitors to say, "Do not fuck with me." Yeah, that's my best bet. But I'm thinking, so wait, did Jedi do this? I know it couldn't be Jocasta Nude that did it. She wasn't really that good of a lightsaber from what we've seen. Oh wait, no, that was a fake person dressed pretending to be her. Yeah, I've never seen her skills with a lightsaber. Like in episode 3 in Legends canon, in the video game of episode 3, they didn't even give her a chance. She draws out her lightsaber, Anakin picks her up and stabs her in the chest. Yeah, that should actually give a gauge of what her potential was. And why she didn't seem to be someone who participated in missions. So, yeah, I get why she's a threat, because she can gather the knowledge of the Jedi and rebuild it through knowledge. But at the same time, I'm like, in combat, that's a little different. So I'm speculating, did other Jedi do this to him? Was it a practice duel that they did and Vader's helmet was sliced open? Like, maybe Palpatine was testing Vader's strength in the new suit, since he never got to see what happened with Master Infala. So they go ahead and do this test with the Inquisitors. Like, there is a preview cover of Vader with a bunch of the Inquisitors. Like, it looked like they're fighting amongst themselves, or maybe they're on a mission together and they're surrounded by something. I don't know. So, yeah, we got this. This is going to be an interesting series, and there's a lot to speculate over for the next couple of issues. But it is going to be interesting what caused that helmet split. So, anyways, that was my thoughts on Darth Vader issue number 5. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.